Dressed up like a dog spinner, the battle wouldn't melt like your pulse. This is the dog's life, and you're the cat's clothes.
Hey everybody, welcome to Effortless. I'm Spigel and I just woke up, and that's Piddle.
And I didn't quite just wake up.
You've been up for hours.
I've been up for a few hours, but you know what? It's still the morning. It's still awful.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to go to work in like an hour, so I don't know. The show's going to be short, but it's going to be good.
Nope,
we got
this is going to be a
stuff.
spectacular show.
Yeah,
we
got
so
a lot
much
of
goodness
stuff
for you.
Yeah. So first of all, you had a little bit of news. Do you want to break that? Because I don't know. You said you wanted to include this.
Well, we had a little bit of news this week, and with you and I and our very strong opinions on a certain
That's one way to put it.
on a certain area of gaming, I thought that this was a great topic for us to talk about. And we haven't really talked about it on any of our other channels, so I figured we can talk about it here. And
Just as a little bit of background, by the way, for this topic, we're going to be talking about mobile games. Lately, there has been an argument, not even an argument, it's been more like an Alamo type situation with the other members of the ZBN and Piddle regarding the quality of mobile games, and we're sort of going to get into that a little bit today.
oh, it's heated. But
And
I
you're
still
the
love all
Alamo
of them.
guy, and you're going to win, though, this time. That's the difference.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Wait, who won? Was it the Alamo people or was it the other people?
You know what? I don't even know.
I don't know either. I don't even know who they were fighting.
I feel more like it's Custer's last stand.
Yeah, it's more like that.
So and I'm Custer, unfortunately. But
There's
anyway,
there's not going to be a video game made about you and some Native American girl tied to a cactus.
gosh.
Don't look that up, kids.
The big news of this week was that Activision Blizzard bought King Software, which is the developer of many mobile games such as, well, the most notable is Candy Crush Saga. And pretty much everybody knows Candy Crush, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think Candy Crush is more popular than Mario at this point. So
I think, well, we'll just get into the rest of the news. So Activision bought King for the total sum of $5.9 billion.
that's billion with a B.
Yes, $5.9 billion, which is absolutely insane. I mean, here I pulled up some other sort of similar kind of purchases.
Huge.
Yes, big
Yeah.
purchases. And this isn't, I mean, there are bigger purchases out there, but I thought that
Yeah, like the amount of money that the Eagles are paying Byron Maxwell.
I thought I would try to keep it to more media based and like entertainment based properties.
I think these are good comparisons.
So, for example, you have Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion.
That was a fantastic investment, man. $1.65 billion. That's easily the most valuable thing on this list,
I mean,
in my opinion.
that is a great deal that Google got. But like,
Yeah.
there's a starter for you. Google buying YouTube for $1.65 billion.
And what was that number for Activision again? It was $5.9 billion.
$5.9 billion. So more than
basically
3
five times what Google spent on YouTube.
Yeah. Another example is Disney bought Star Wars just recently for $4 billion. And Disney also bought Marvel for $4 billion.
Great investments. Good job, Disney.
So again, Star Wars and Marvel apparently not as valuable as King Software.
A total of $8 billion, but separately only $4 billion apiece.
Yeah. And finally, a more recent big game that was bought is Minecraft, which was bought by Microsoft and like we thought this was just such a huge amount of money when it happened. And that was Minecraft being bought by Microsoft for $2.5 billion.
I think it's just because it's such a big investment for like one property that honestly I still think it's a lot of money. I think it might be too much. I mean, Minecraft as a game is very, like, it's very open-ended.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for them to make a meaningful sequel that, in my opinion, that doesn't do a whole lot more than the original game. I mean, look, this game came out many, many years ago, and people are still just getting into it for the first time. not gonna say it's not gonna be lucrative for them, but I'm not sure if 2.5 billion is like the investment they needed.
Well, hey, you know what? All they need to do is add some matching of Minecraft blocks and make it luck based, and boom, Minecraft is going to take off in popularity and value.
They're gonna
Because
make it
it'll
a
be
gambling game.
just like all of King Software's games, because that is what King Software makes. They make like they make slot machines. That's all they really make, and they argue that it's not gambling. This has actually literally been brought up before and talked about by the CEO, that they do not make gambling games because there is an element of skill involved in the game. And this is true, like, while there are elements of skill that can increase your chances, like working from the bottom of the level so more tiles to cascade down, or
I mean, that's like arguing that there's an element of skill in sports betting, right? I mean, you have to know about the teams, you have to like kind of have an idea of like where they are mentally that day. But I mean, that's not
not
it's
even
still
that
gambling.
much. It's like, this is King games are literally gambling, because everything else comes down to luck of what is coming from the top. It's not like levels they're not preset layouts with the colors. Like, that would be completely different if every level had like a preset for what colors would come down. That would make it completely different. But that's not how it works. Like, it is gambling, and the way it works too is gambling, because the game starts with these really, really easy levels. So you start getting that dopamine rush in the early levels, because they're easier to beat. Then they gradually get a little bit harder and a little bit more difficult, and you're like, oh man, I'm failing. But the game goes, hey, but look, you can buy this stuff. To help you, you can buy an extra turn.
So that's how it's gambling, basically.
And so it starts introducing those concepts. There's always a limited number of moves in their games too.
Right.
And then it just, the deeper you get into their games, the more it ramps up, the more the difficulty ramps up, to the point where it becomes literally just complete luck. But because you've been gradually introduced to all those things,
the pay to win transactions.
yeah, like that delayed reward is even more satisfying, and that is what gambling is to a T.
So, do you want to like call out specific games and like say this is why these games are terrible? Because like I said, the whole thing that's been going on lately is it's like you against the world in that ZBN chat when you bring up these
Yes.
mobile games as being, and I mean, honestly, a lot of people are angry with you not because of you saying that mobile games are bad, but because you're saying that all mobile games are bad and there is no exception. And I believe the quote was, if you think mobile games are good, you are basically lying to yourself. Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a controversial opinion.
It is someone else's words used for me, but I pretty much agreed with that. And
yeah.
I'm going to say, I think mobile games at their best are mediocre. And I mean, there might be a couple that get into the good area, but there's nothing that's great out there.
The best mobile games I've seen are ports of handheld games.
The best mobile games I've seen are ports,
and they're like actual games, not just,
or puzzle games. And or they're ports of board games, as people have mentioned, like a social element of playing
like
Scrabble.
Words with Friends, for example. Yeah. And that's totally fine. And I think that mobile games do serve a purpose.
And I think they're great for that. I'm
not gonna hate on mobile games. I'm well known for hating on mobile games because I hate mobile games, but they do serve a purpose. They do provide as a handheld was designed to provide quick bursts of entertainment. Mobile games are sort of like, it's like a sip of entertainment.
Yep.
It's like you take a sip out of a drink every 3 minutes. That's a mobile game.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not going to hate on it for that.
And I've talked to you about this before, but I've seen kids go through, like, they'll be playing on their iPad or their iPhone or Galaxy. And I have seen kids literally go from one game to the next to the next to the next, and they will go through open and close 6 different games or so in the span of only a few minutes. And it's just like,
and people wonder why I hate kids.
it's just like, oh my goodness, there's these games, they're so focused on giving you that quick reward that it's amazing.
Yeah. And just switching to another subject briefly, I would never give my kid an iPad. Like my kids, like they're freaking 4 years old. They break that thing in like a second. Like, why would you do that? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to like jump down the mobile games are not good rabbit hole and sort of like start going at that?
You know what? We can go down that rabbit hole a little bit.
It's kind of dangerous. I mean, because I already know that
is.
everyone's against you already. I don't want to turn them against me. I mean,
Hey, I need somebody else on my side. Come on.
Well, I'm kind of on your side. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as you and say that like all mobile games are bad, but I think mobile game and one of the biggest arguments, and courtesy of Dan from the ZBN, he says that mobile games you're not focusing on the fun factor when you look at a mobile game and say that it's bad. He says the most important thing in a game is that it's fun, and to an extent, I agree with him. My thing is, I'm not entirely sure these mobile games are very fun. Like, I look at Candy Crush, I'm like, this doesn't look fun to me. A randomized, like, pay-to-win, transaction-based game that you kind of can't win. And you have to keep playing it. And it's just like,
it is the illusion of fun, and like that is what gambling is.
I mean, and maybe if I played it would be different.
It gives you that dopamine rush at the beginning, and then spreads it out more and more and more, so it takes longer, and even gets to the point where, like, yeah, you fail a game or fail a level 5 times in a row, suddenly you have to have a cooldown timer on when you can play that level again.
Yeah, it's just like, what's fun about waiting for a game? What's fun about paying to get stuff in a game? I don't know. I think that's just it feels like smoke and mirrors to me.
That is how the brain works, and like they've done studies like this, and one that comes to mind is with chocolate. They gave people, like one group of people, a ton of chocolate that they could eat all week long, and then this other group, they said you cannot have any chocolate, and then they came back the next week, had some chocolate, and rated how much they liked it, how good it was, and the group that had to wait enjoyed it more.
Wow.
So it is like these games are intentionally manipulating the human brain, and it's so I think too many of these games are sinister, and it's different with the ports, and those are what I believe are the best that mobile gaming has to offer. And it's such a shame that when you look at the top grossing lists or the top selling or most popular games on mobile, like none of them are what I would consider games that are on the closer to being good, or might even be good at their very best, like a World of Goo or Monument Valley.
World of Goo is so good.
Or I'm trying to think of something.
Is World of Goo on mobile?
Yeah, it is. World of Goo.
I did not know that. Okay, yeah, go buy World of Goo, everybody. That's a great game.
I definitely don't like it as much as I do on Wii or especially PC. Just the control methods.
A little tighter on PC than Wii.
That's one of the reasons I am so against mobile, and I feel like at the best it's mediocre, is because the control itself holds back even the good games. And
I mean, it's hard to design a game where it's hard to control it unless it's like a puzzle game or unless it's something simple.
Exactly.
And that's sort of an inherent flaw of the platform that most people are willing to put up with, which is fine. I mean, again, I'm not really going to go on an all-out tirade against mobile games, even though it's killing the handheld market, which is my favorite market.
Yes.
So I really probably shouldn't I? But anyway.
And it's weird how so many of these elements are starting to make their way into other games, and it really
the
bothers
microtransactions
me.
especially.
Microtransactions.
Looking at you, Halo 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, and all these other games with the number 5 in them.
So I think pretty much I'm just shocked that Activision bought King for that much, especially when you look at, well, I guess it's a bit different than a game like Angry Birds, because Angry Birds doesn't really work the same way. it is more of a puzzle
There's
game.
no microtransactions
Yeah.
in Angry Birds, is there?
I can't remember if there are.
Angry Birds is probably the best mobile game I've ever played.
And
It does everything that a mobile game should do, which is be addictive, control well, and be fun to play, and actually have challenges that you can beat. You know, and it's not like a pay to win thing. You just kind of pop it out for a couple minutes, play it. That's what a mobile game should be. I think Angry Birds is very successful at that.
yes, it's just a physics-based puzzle game. And I mean, it makes me like some of the big physics-based puzzle games that I can think of other than Angry Birds is, well, you have what's the pigs one that they have?
Angry Pigs? I don't know.
It might be that, and then there's also
Really?
Where I don't know. Where's My Water? It's from the same company. There's Where's My Water, which is from Disney, and then there's Cut the Rope, and those are some more popular games, and those are all puzzle games.
Incidentally, all those games are like on 3DS too. You could like buy all those games.
Yeah, they're also on other platforms, which is interesting.
I would never buy
And
I see Cut the Rope every day at work. I'm like, I have no
all you
idea
have
what
to
that
say
is.
is like, how many people really buy those games on other platforms?
I don't know. I'm gonna look up the numbers. Vamp for a second. I'm gonna find this.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad deal, because I feel like King's revenues will continue to get pulled in. But if you look at all of King's games, they're all essentially matching colors. They're whether it's 3, whether it's 4, and there's cascades and all that. That's what King games are. They all feed into that basic dopamine rush that people are looking for,
Found it.
whether they
Cut the
realize it
Rope.
or not.
Cut the Rope on 3DS came out in 2014, published by Activision. It sold 30,000 units in North America.
Yeah,
And that's it.
yeah. So it's
So nobody bought it, basically. So I guess it's just destined to be a mobile forever.
yeah. So I don't think they're good games. I think they're good time wasters, and I don't know. I guess some people might see it as the same thing.
Although here's one.
I don't.
Here's one. Angry Birds Trilogy on 3DS has sold 590,000 units worldwide. It is the best-selling Angry Birds game that has ever come out.
All right.
So in terms of a mobile game, it's been most successful on 3DS, which makes sense.
Yeah. But there's still
Okay.
a lot of other vastly more popular games, right?
So can we be a little more rational when talking to Piddle about mobile games? I feel like he made some good points. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the mobile game market and what you think of all these games. Do you think it's killing the handheld market? Do you think it's like a separate market that's feeding off the handheld market? Or, I don't know, what do you think?
and one
Audience,
thing
I'm
to
talking
note
to
is
you.
one thing to note is Activision stock did bump up after
As it should have.
Yeah, after they announced that they bought King for almost $6 billion.
I should ask,
It
what-
is a good deal for Activision, I think.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you think it's a good deal?
Yeah.
I think $6 billion is high. I'm not really sure of King's revenue. Like, I know how much money Star Wars makes. I know how much money Marvel makes with the franchising and the all the toys and the marketing and everything. But I'm not sure how much King games make. I know they're very popular.
What I can say is I'm expecting to see a lot of these gambling properties to sort of infiltrate their way into Activision's games going forward.
Ugh.
So
Gross. So no more Activision ever for me.
did you even buy
Like it was
Activision
that hard in
Blizzard
the first
anyway?
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Going off of this topic, and I sort of picked this up from Game Trailers.
You picked it up. You directly stole
I-
it from Game
I-
Trailers.
I
That's okay.
stole
We
it. Shamelessly
we steal
stole it.
everything from
But-
ZBN.
But it's going to be fun, and I feel like it would be something fun for you to do, and so we're going to do it.
So this is a little game that you've devised, or that Game Trailers
That
devised.
Game Trailers
for me.
devised, and this
Okay.
game is, I'm going to give you the name of something, and you have to tell me whether it is a game made by King Software,
Okay.
or is it, because Activision owns this property, is it a Skylander? And
Okay.
the twist is, every Skylander I'm going to throw out there, I'm going to add the word saga to the end, because all of King's games end with the word saga.
Okay. So that'll make it a little more difficult, I think.
So this is what's going to make it difficult. All right, are you ready?
I think just to just before we go, I don't know that many Skylanders. I work at a game store and we sell Skylanders, but I don't really actively look at them except on price change day. So I know that there's like Fiesta Frightful. That's a Skylander or something. So I know that one. And there's a couple others that I know, like Hammer Slam Donkey Kong or whatever. Like that's a Skylander. So don't try to fool me.
All right. Well, thankfully you didn't name any of them that I've put up.
Dang it.
So far.
Okay. All right, here we go.
I think you'll get. I think you'll get some of these. Some of these are pretty easy.
Okay.
Some of these I think are a little bit tougher.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Wait, how many do you have? Let's keep track. Of
I
how
have
many I get.
13.
Okay. All right. Let's
13.
do it.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
First one. Pepper Panic Saga.
Oh man, that's got to be a king game.
That is right.
Okay. All right.
Bat Spin Saga.
I feel like Bat Spin. I think I've seen that one before in the store. I think that's got to be a Skylander.
Correct. See, and I think this is going to help
no.
you a lot that you actually have worked and seen these.
Like
so
I might have
often.
just seen them, and that name
Next
might
one.
stick in my brain.
Alphabetty Saga.
Alphabetty? Oh God, that sounds like the name of a character. Is that a Skylander?
Nope, it is not. That is a king game.
This is a great game. Good job, Game Trailers.
All right.
Wow.
Next one.
Okay.
Diamond Digger Saga.
Diamond Digger. Oh, that's hard. It doesn't sound punny enough to be a Skylander. That's got to be a king game.
That is right. It is a
Okay.
king game.
All right. All right.
All right. Next one. Power Punch Pet Vac Saga.
Power Punch. What?
Pet Vac Saga.
Pet back?
Pet Vac Saga.
What? I'm gonna. Is that a king game?
Wrong. That is a Skylander.
What? What is that? I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before.
So,
All right, I'm 3-2. This is hard.
all right.
I'm not.
Next one.
Okay.
Love Potion Pop Fizz Saga.
Okay, that's a king game.
No, that is a Skylander.
What? Wait a minute. Okay, wait, hold on. This is. Wait, what does this Skylander do? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
You know what? I don't know. I really don't know.
Oh
but
my
this
God.
is a Skylander. All right.
Okay.
Next
I'm not
one.
doing well. I'm 3-3 now, I think.
Next one.
Right?
Yep.
Boy. Oh man.
Here we go. Bubble
Okay.
Witch Saga.
I'm scared to guess now because I don't want to. Is that a? That's a king game.
That is correct. That
Okay,
is a
I
king
think
game.
I've heard of that one.
All right. Here we go. Next one.
Okay.
Flip Wreck Saga.
That's a Skylander.
That is right.
I've seen that one.
All right. Here we go. Next
Okay,
one.
and then back on top. Here we go.
Double Trouble Saga.
That sounds like it could be a Skylander, but on the same hand, it also sounds like it could be a king game, which is the point. So, I'm gonna guess it's a Skylander.
You are right. Good
Okay, that was a guess. That was so I'm
Good guess.
lucky.
All right.
Lucky.
Here we go. Next one.
I'm 6-3. I'm doing well now, I think.
Papa Pear
Recovery.
Saga.
What was it?
Papa Pear Saga.
Papa Pear Saga?
Yep.
What could that be? Papa Pear?
Yes.
Is it like a pear that like sired many children? like how did he get all those kids?
Don't know.
That's got to be a Skylander.
It is not a Skylander. That is
Oh my
a
God.
king game.
Okay.
All right. Here,
What do you do? What is that game? What do you do in it?
you know what? You probably match colors just like every other.
Well, you know what? Wait, is it Papa Pear like Dad Pear, or is it like Pop a Pear like
It's
like
Papa Pear. Papa.
Okay.
Like Papa.
Like popping
dad.
bubbles.
Yep.
okay?
All right. Next one. I think you'll get this.
What am I 6-4 right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smolder Dash Saga.
Oh, that's a Skylander.
That is, yes.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that one.
And next one, Scrubby Dubby Saga.
Oh boy,
We're on the last two, by the way.
that sounds like a king. That sounds like it would be a king game, but I don't know. Scrubby Dubby. I'm gonna say that's a king game.
It
That's
is a
guess.
king game. Nice.
All right.
Nice guess again.
All right,
And last
good
one,
job, me.
we have Bumble Blast Saga.
Oh, that's hard too. I feel like I don't think I've seen that one, but it sounds like it would be a Skylander. But I'm gonna say it's a King game.
It is a Skylander.
Well, how did I do? That's like 8 and 5, right?
So you are
That's not
8
very
for
good.
13. 8 for 13.
That's not very good.
That is D minus. Good job.
Did you? Did you? I'm curious. When you first watched the video, did you play it with them?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And
how'd you do?
I did better than the contestant, but I still missed several, and I changed it up for you.
Yeah, you gave me some of your own, right? You didn't just take all of theirs.
So some of the ones that I added Bumble Blast.
That was hard.
Yes. I added I believe Double Trouble. And
So can I just say this, that like there's all these Skylanders, and kids will come into the store like, do you have, Rumble Roxy? And I'm like, I don't freaking know. Like, let me search the system. And they're like, while I'm searching the system, do you have I can't even think of one. Do you have Mike? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know what to say, but it's like these kids, they know every freaking Skylander.
Do you have
like,
Love
where do you
Potion Pop Fizz?
Love Potion Pop Fizz? I've never been asked for that one. But they'll be like, do you have the Light Trap? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. What about the Dark Trap? What about the Venus Fly Trap? It's like, I don't know, dude. What about the Parent Trap? Do you have that one? I'm like, no, dude, we're not a movie stop. But anyway. So yeah, it's ridiculous the number of Skylanders that these kids can just know. But it's weird being a kid. You get obsessed
There
with
are
stuff.
so many Skylanders. I scrolled through the entire list on their website to pull out some names, and I'm just.
Are there more Skylanders than Pokemon yet?
I was blown away. So just so you know, Love Potion Pop Fizz is a variation of the regular Pop Fizz. But then there's like also Power.
Of course, there's a variation.
I think there was also like Power Punch Pop Fizz, just like the Power Punch Pet Vac, and then I just don't understand it.
So I'd like to point out there are 721 Pokemon. There are 337 Skylanders that have been released.
There's 300.
I'm trying to figure out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out when they first. Okay, the first release of Skylanders was the Spyro Adventure in 2011. So I'm just doing some quick math. How many more Skylanders are released per year than Pokemon on average if you were to go from like the beginning of that franchise, from the beginning of Skylanders?
Wow, there are more Skylanders out there than...
At this rate, there's going to be more Skylanders than Pokemon in about 6 years. So yeah.
It'll die before then, because like everything, Activision will run it into the ground.
Skylanders Superchargers was a complete flop. I think I sold one copy at my store. We're a very high volume store. And nobody bought it. So same thing with Disney Infinity. Actually, Disney Infinity was a little more successful, which surprised me. I thought that was going to be a flop too. But anyway,
I think Disney
Skylanders
Infinity
sucks,
just has
and
more interesting intellectual properties to draw from.
well, yeah, I mean they have characters that are worth something.
They have
now you have
Star
you have
Wars,
Star Wars,
they have Marvel characters, and
for some
all
reason
the
they've
Disney
been releasing Tron characters, which is stupid. It took them this long to release Mickey Mouse, which is retarded. And then of course they did the Inside Out, which I don't know if you saw that movie, but it was fantastic. I loved that movie.
Not a bad movie.
So, yeah.
All right. So there is one thing I wanted to get to before we do our 52 out of 52.
Man, we've already done almost half an hour, and I thought this show was going to be shorter.
I know. And that is
great.
just, I'm going to do a quick revision of my score of Halo 5 from last week.
Oh, you're changing it? So you gave it a 5,
I have
right?
to change it. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and a lot of what I said I still believe is true. I still think it is the best pretty much the best that a Halo sequel can be without drastically changing things. And there's a lot of complaints about the requisition points, but when you play online, you don't have to do that part of it. Like, if you're complaining about the balance of Halo 5 online and you're playing just Warzone, you're an idiot. Get out of Warzone. Go play Arena. Stop complaining about this stupid mode that is really only there to generate money. Like that.
I sold a bunch of rec packs to some poor people the other day. I felt bad.
That is the only reason it exists. So get your butt off of Warzone. Like you are an idiot if you complain about Halo 5s online and that is what you are playing. Play the arena. They've done a great job. They actually changed it, like how the aiming worked. There's actually a lot less auto aim in Halo 5 than people are normally used to for a Halo game. So I think that's probably going to frustrate a lot of people going forward. But the new abilities fit in well. The arenas fit in well. The only thing they said that the game went gold, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, if the game went gold, why is it missing Forge, and why is it missing Big Team Battle?
And why is there a 9 gigabyte day one update?
Yes, right? So
if that's what going gold is now, I'm really upset with this industry.
Yeah, so going gold, we can just
Fallout
throw that
went
out.
gold like a month ago. Does that mean it's not going to even be out on the 10th when it comes out? It's not even going to be in stores? That's what going gold is now?
20 gigabyte day one patch.
Pissing me off.
With Fallout 4, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
At least to be worth it. Fallout 4 is going to be great.
So, that content is going to come. One of the great things about Halo 5 is the map packs in the future are all going to be free. And I don't believe I mentioned that last time during my review. But
that's cool.
how many games do that anymore?
Dude, who doesn't love free DLC?
One of the things I don't like about map packs is they split the player base. It's like, okay, well, you have the people who have the base game, and then you have the people that have the first map pack, and then you have the people that have the second map pack, but not the first map pack. And it just gets all jumbled up and out of whack. So
in Mario Kart, even if you don't have the DLC, you can play those tracks online with people, which is cool.
Yeah. That I actually did not know that. That's really cool.
If you don't own them, I don't think you can vote for them, like in the base. Mm-hmm. And I just vote team random every time, anyways, because I like to get a variety.
Yeah, I do random as well. I don't like to pick the same.
I can never decide, man. Mario Kart 8 is just too good. But anyway,
yes.
Yeah, not enough companies do free DLC anymore.
Yeah.
Even Nintendo doesn't really do it as much now as they used to. They're still doing Splatoon, which is awesome.
So the one thing that I am going to hold against Halo 5, however, and it's not the length of the campaign. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the campaign's only 4.5 hours long," and it's like, yeah, it's only 4.5 hours long if you're playing.
Speedrunners! I thought it was like 8 to 10 hours.
If you play on like the normal difficulty or a difficulty that's too easy for you, you will just plow through it no problem.
Nobody gives a rip about campaigns anymore, dude. That's the world we live in.
It took me about 7 to 8 hours. And yeah, the story's not the greatest, and there are issues I have with it. But again, when it comes to the gameplay and it comes to the online and the arena portion of the online, it's pretty much as good as it's going to be. But what I will hold against Halo 5, and this is why I'm bringing my score down, and I'm bringing it down a whole point from my 5 out of 5 to a 4 out of 5 because I completely forgot that this game does not have local multiplayer. It doesn't have couch co-op. It doesn't have split screen multiplayer. And this is a series that, it would be like
it's known for.
It'd be like if GoldenEye and Perfect Dark came out and like that series kept going and they released another game like later on that just didn't have.
You know what it'd be
screen.
like? It'd be like Mario Party if you could only play with computers.
Yeah.
That's the best example I can think of.
Yep.
That was me. That was me when I was a kid, though.
That's actually a pretty good point. Or it'd be like only being able to play against computers or online with Super Smash Brothers 4.
Yeah.
That's really what it's like.
Terrible.
And it's just, and I know it doesn't apply to me really, but at some point it will. At some point I'll probably have a friend over. And
some point next year I'll come visit you because I have money saved up and we're going to do a live show at your house and I'm going to want to play it and you're going to be like, sorry, we can't play it.
Yep. So that is my biggest issue. It's like couch co-op made Halo. For them to take it away is, first of all, I think it's a lack of foresight because that's how you introduce your friends to a lot of games is by playing with them. And that's always been how games have been. So, and yeah, again, with like little kids constantly moving on to mobile games, you want those little kids like their bigger brother saying, hey, let's play Halo together. Or
I'm going over to my friend's house. He's got the new Halo, stuff like that.
Yeah. Or, heck, go over to your uncle's house. I have a nephew. If his parents are if my sister was okay with him playing Halo, I'd play Halo with him. Why not? So
I mean, much like other franchises that are still coming out this year, like Need for Speed and Skylanders and stuff like that. It's continuing. Halo is continuing its slide into oblivion and irrelevance.
Yeah.
Even if the game is good, which it is.
It is. It is
You know.
very, very good online.
But I mean, you can't not have things like that because it's like you said, it is a lack of foresight, and I totally agree with you. I don't know how much it's going to truly affect it, but it's going to affect it at least a little bit.
I think in the long term, the fact that Forge mode, there's also a lack of just there's a lack of matchmaking, game types that are not ranked, and I think that hurts like the people who are casual, who are like just trying to get into things, like having that pressure of you have to win or you have to lose or your rank decreases. Like it's going to bring out the asshole in people online who are like, man, what are you doing? You suck. Because
yeah,
well,
no one wants like that's
you
why
do
I don't
suck
play the
because
ranked mode.
you haven't really played the game before or you haven't played it in 4 years. So
It's why I don't play ranked in Splatoon, and why I'm thankful Splatoon doesn't have voice chat, because honestly, your team would hate you in that game
yeah,
if you were bad at it.
it would. So I mean, that pretty much sums it up why I feel like Halo 5, it doesn't deserve a 5 out of 5. It took something out. I think Phil Spencer has already even said, like, you know what? We're gonna make sure that the next one has split screen. And it's odd because, like, one of the reasons they said that they couldn't do split screen is because the way that the physics work, the physics are designed to work at 60 frames per second, so they couldn't just cut the frame rate in half and make it 30 frames per second and have the physics work. But still,
Can I do a comic book guy from The Simpsons and be like, worst excuse ever?
Yeah, it really is. It's just it's a money thing. So you know what? Take some money from your rec packs, Microsoft, put it into Halo 5 and get some split screen gaming on that game, because it is Halo. It deserves a split screen experience.
So luckily, even though we spent a lot of time on that, we can finish up because 5252 is non-existent this week. I think for maybe the first time, neither of us beat a game this week. Is that right?
Yeah, neither of us beat a game.
So we can just say what we've been playing. I've still been playing The Walking Dead on Vita. I'm almost done with it. I'm gonna have a lot of good stuff to say on it next week.
Good,
but I don't want to say anything yet.
Good. You know what? Maybe I'll just have to put the game I've been playing down and finish it, because I only played episode 1 and I don't think I can count that. I think I need to beat the whole season. So
yeah,
that is going to be a priority for me.
I've been working a lot, so I haven't had time.
For me, it is going to be, or I've been playing The Witcher 3, thanks to you. So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And it is really good in a lot of ways and really frustrating in a lot of other ways.
I hear it suffers from the same like modern conventions that a lot of games do, right? Basically,
like, I mean, it is a big open world, which we've ripped on a lot because it feels like, you know,
checklist.
Everything goes through fads, and there was a platformer fad back in like the 90s, early 90s, or in the
late 90s,
late 80s,
2000s,
yeah. And then you had the move to disc-based, and then it was just like the full motion video fad, which
yikes.
Ugh.
It's coming back. The I don't know if it's not full motion video, but I mean live action cutscenes. It's coming back. It was in Need for Speed, the newest one that got released. That sucky thing, and yeah, man.
So
franchise that didn't need a reboot, 2015 edition. I'm adding Need for Speed
bad
to the
voice
list.
acting fad.
Yeah,
you can also call it that.
No, that's been a fad since video games have been around.
You know, I don't know what you could say the fad was during like the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation era, because I feel like
the collectathon platformer.
Was it the collectathon platformer?
I would say at least for N64, that's what it was. I'm not really sure what ones the PlayStation
had. Like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, which wasn't. I mean, it's
that's
still had a lot
not
of
really
fun
the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Then,
so you're playing
then
the
you
Witcher.
went to the shooter, the FPS fad, where everything had to be a first-person shooter, and then or a third-person shooter, and then it had to be a multiplayer shooter. And now I feel like we're going into the age of the open world, and like everything has to be an open world. I'm half surprised that Halo 5 was an open world, to be honest, because it is. Yeah, every game is just saying, you know what, screw linearity. We're just going to have an open world so it's more engrossing, whatever.
Shoot, man, the reason I love Gears of War so much is because like it's not an open world. It's a linear experience that tells a fantastic story. It's like it's just packaged so well, and
But it
I'm
does
getting
give you
sick of the
some
open
choices.
world.
It does like sort of split things up and gives you, it's linear, but it gives you options, and I think that's a big sort of difference.
Yeah.
So Witcher 3, it is an open world game, but I will say this, it does questing so much better than a lot of the other open world games I've played. I mean, it does it better than Skyrim probably, because
Wow.
there's just so much detail to all these stories. There's like every quest you go on, it's not like, oh, you need to kill such and such amount of this enemy and collect 10 of these items and come back to me and then we're going to be all good. It doesn't really feel like you are doing fetch quests. It feels like you are just doing a favor for somebody or not. Like there are plenty of instances where it's like somebody will ask you to do something and you can be like, yeah, sure. Or you can be like, you know what, screw you. I'm just going to like take advantage of you and move on.
Nice.
And like one of the, like, for instance, there's a variety of fist-to-fist fights that you can do, some boxing fights that you can do throughout the world. And one of the ones I just recently finished, well, like, you can even become like a champion of an area, which is sort of cool, I guess. But like the fights get harder and harder as you go throughout. But I just went to this rundown area and I found this like boxing ring. As I'm walking into a town, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to see if I can get into this match. And before the match, the guy I'm going to fight comes up to me. He's like, look, man, like our city has like no money. And this is like how I'm making a living, because if I win, they're going to give me like just a bag of flour. Like I need this to feed my family. And I'm just like,
Wow.
So he's like, so can you take a fall for me? And I'm just like, nope, I can't take a fall.
That's great.
So then I kick his ass, and afterwards I walk.
Do you take his flour, or do
No.
you just like? Okay.
No, like I don't know why he's talking about flour, because they were paying me money. But
So they were gonna give him flour, but they're gonna give you money.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel bad.
Why
I
don't they
feel
just give
bad
him
for
money?
the poor guy. Yeah, he like comes up to me. He's like, yeah, or he's also like, yeah, I'm really weak. Like clearly you're gonna kick my butt. But after the match, I like walk up to him and I talk to him, and he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, here, have some money for your family. And he's like, what, really? Thanks. So it just,
Wow, what a good guy.
it's just sort of, there's a lot of those types of experiences throughout The Witcher 3 that I've come across so far. And, you know, it might become repetitive at some point. One of the things I really don't like about the game is just the controls are so bad.
You're playing on PC, right?
I'm playing on PC,
Okay.
but I'm playing with a controller.
Okay.
I'm playing with a Xbox 360 controller, and the controls are just terrible. And I don't know if it's just because I'm playing on PC. I get the feeling it's really just because the way that the animation system works. It just feels unresponsive, clunky. The battling.
I mean, it's a third person game, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that happens in those types of games. I mean, if you ever tried to play Skyrim or like even Fallout in third person, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so I mean,
battling
whatever.
is a chore. Usually, I just have to like tank my way through all the battles. Because like I'll try to dodge and I'll press the dodge button and I'll dodge, but you know what? I won't dodge far enough back, so I'll still get hit or something like that. It's just very unrewarding third-person gameplay, unlike a game like the Batman series or even Shadows of Mordor. So those are my only issues with it, pretty much, because otherwise the world they create is really awesome.
So I want to hear more about that next week. I don't know how many hours you into it so far.
Probably, I'm probably like 15 hours in, 10 to 15 hours in.
Just play The Walking Dead first, and then we'll get back to The Witcher, because I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I'll say this. It was a little bit intimidating at first. There's just so much content the game throws at you. I feel like games like this need to ease you into things a little bit more. Because
Did it need a tutorial?
it like had a tutorial, but it's one of those tutorials, and this is one thing I hate about some games that like try to be too complicated and like give you too much, is it gives you like a little tutorial on something. You never actually get the chance to use that one thing several times to get accustomed to it before they throw something else at you. It's just like, hey, here's something for you to know. And then 1 minute later, hey, here's something else for you to know. 1 minute later, hey, here's something new for you to know. And so like you're 20 minutes into the game, you have 20 new things that were just thrown at you. And like 30 minutes later, you might need, or I should say like 4 hours later into the game, you might need to do something, but you can't remember it because you had so much thrown at you so quickly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really
I know exactly how that feels.
And so I think that was my big issue with the game is at the beginning. It's just it just threw so much at me that I wanted to quit within like the first hour. I only kept going because it's received a lot of praise.
So, I've unfortunately backed ourselves into a corner yet again in terms of the amount of time that we're spending on this show. But we get so caught up because it's so good. But we still need to do our top 50 games. I actually kind of like the way we've been doing it with like trying to get it into 1 minute lately. So let's just do that again, shall we?
All right.
Let's see. I'll have you go first. This week we're doing, what are we doing? Number 25 through number 21. So, oh man, I've got another all Nintendo week here. So I hope people don't get too mad. Man.
And
it's all Nintendo this week.
I actually have some pretty different games in my top 25 now.
All right, well let's hear it. Starting with number 25.
Number 25 for me is a Nintendo game, Super Mario Brothers 3. Do I really have to say anything about Super Mario Brothers 3? It's just for the record. Last week I had Super Mario World as my number 26, so I have Super Mario Brothers 3 ahead of Super Mario World. It is, to me, the best 2D Mario out there. The power-ups that are in the game that you can get are spectacular, and the world variety. It's amazing how different each level is from the last level, and it just creates such a unique experience because you're never really doing the same thing again. Yes, you're jumping, you're shooting fireballs, you're flying as a raccoon, but it mixes it up just enough. I mean, like throwing the sun at you where the sun like comes swooping down at you in one level, or there's just one level for the Karibo's shoe. I think that's how it's called.
I'm not sure.
There's one level dedicated to that.
Your minute is up.
Fine. You know what? Super Mario Brothers 3. If you haven't played Super Mario Brothers 3 by now, just stop listening to this podcast. You are not a gamer. Go away.
Well, go play a mobile game. That was horrible. I thought you were going to say go
play
buy
Candy
it or
Crush
something.
Saga.
You're
or
not even
Bubble
a gamer.
Blast Saga. Wait, that's Skylander.
Great. Okay, oh yeah, and Fiesta Frightful Skylander Supercharger Saga.
All right, hit me with it, Spiegel.
My number 25. I love this. This is the only one that made my list, the only game from this franchise, and it is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. My favorite Pokemon game is on the original DS. It is a remake of the classics on Game Boy, and it is, in a word, it's a perfect reimagining of those games. They did everything so well. It looks great on DS, and yeah, it's great. It's just great.
So what did they do differently with Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
Well, they didn't really do much differently at all.
Didn't it come with like a pocket something? I don't know.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. The gardeners are here and they're ruining everything. So they're busy doing the lawnmower on the sidewalk. So we had to stop for a second there. But anyway, you asked what was so different about Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They really didn't do very much that was different. But you mentioned the Pokewalker thing that came with it, and it didn't really do anything. I never used it. I think I still have it around here somewhere. So I don't know. It's just one of those like weird Nintendo accessories that you get.
Was
it
essentially like an accelerometer?
I don't really know. I never used it. I never took it out. I think you could train your Pokemon on it and like put it back, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver is notoriously difficult. It's probably the hardest Pokemon game. So they gave you a way to like kind of train your Pokemon outside of the game just by walking around, I think. But honestly, I didn't use it. I was fine. I'm good at Pokemon, so
you know
it's
what?
Not that big of a
that
deal.
would be a great app for them to make for DNA.
Oh, absolutely.
And
And you know what? It was funny. We were talking about mobile games. We didn't talk about Nintendo's mobile game, but we kind of already we talked about it, didn't we? Miitomo?
Pokemon Go.
No, Miitomo.
Oh, Miitomo. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked
we
about
talked
that
a little
already.
bit about it. I think it's a great idea.
All right, so
We may
let's
not have
move
talked
on.
about it on the show.
Incidentally, that game, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, was the biggest move up in my entire list. It went up 20 spots from last year. I replayed it this year, and
Ooh.
it's glorious. So
That is a
Yeah.
big move up.
I just love that you get to do 16 gym badges, and then you do the Elite Four. It's like you do everything. You get both regions. Like I don't know why other Pokemon games haven't done this.
And the greatest
it's a
boss
huge
battle
game.
in possibly gaming history.
Yes, it's freaking loaded. It's amazing. I want
Yeah.
to play right now.
You know what? So do I. But my DS is not currently functioning. So
Get a 3D. Where's your 3DS?
I guess I can play on my 3DS.
Are you going to get Yokai Watch, by the way? Oh, you know what? We haven't talked about this at all, but Black Ops 3 came out today on the day of recording, and also Yokai Watch for 3DS. And so I work, at the store, and last night we had a 9 o'clock launch for Black Ops 3, and everyone was there, and I'm sitting there in my Yokai Watch shirt, and some people are making fun of me for it. So,
I can see that. I can see all
but
the
go buy
dude
Yokai
bros.
Watch. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I can see the dude bros being like, dude, what is that? Come on.
There's this stupid yokai called Squeak Cheek, which is basically a butt, and it's the yokai that causes excessive flatulence. And for some reason, Nintendo thought it would be a good idea to ship us some Squeak Cheek masks, so I put one on my face for most of the night. So I was wearing Squeak Cheek, and you can look that
Fantastic.
up. Yeah,
All right, my number 24.
that was
Moving
a big
on.
tangent. Go
Moving
ahead.
on from the tangent, my number 24 is Shenmue 2. And
Oh, you.
oh, come on, I can't not mention it. It is an example of a really detailed world. Something, you know what? It's not open world. It's a linear, great, fantastic experience that really draws you into the world that it creates because it sort of keeps everything under control. And Shenmue 2 is just fantastic. It is tense. It is engrossing. The final disc completely changes the pace of everything. It's almost sort of weird to look back on it and just be like, you go from early in the game sort of trying to hunt someone down and you're like hot on the tail of vengeance.
10 seconds.
Oh, come on. And then the game forces you to
You're
slow
hot
down.
on the tail of being done
Yeah.
with talking about this game.
The game forces you to slow down. Then it sort of ramps up again. One of the things I'll always remember is walking planks high up in like a dilapidated building and trying not to die. And it has some great underground like CD parts of the game. It's a fantastic game. I really can't stress how good Shenmue 2 is. I really
Is
hope
there
they remaster
any way
it.
for us to play this game on anything other than the Dreamcast, or do we have to have the Dreamcast?
I hold out hope for a remaster because it sounds like Sega is talking about a way to get Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 available.
I am
for
all
everybody.
in if they do a Shenmue collection on like PS4 or whatever. I'm all in on that. I
Yeah.
will definitely buy that. Like no question.
It sounds like they're looking into what they can do. So we'll see going forward.
So let's go. My number 24, which is the highest rated game from this franchise on my list is Super Smash Brothers, the original on Nintendo 64. I don't get to play this game anymore because none of my friends want to play it. They're all like, "Let's play the new Smash Brothers."
That's actually
for
sort of
Wii U.
interesting because
And
Yeah.
honestly, I love the original. As unbalanced as it is, and as as stupid as some of the stages are, it's so pure and it's so just like here's 12 characters and here's 10 stages and here's like some items, but it's so arcadey. It almost feels like everything about it is just it's so much fun, and it's got a little more randomness to it, which some people don't like. It's not good for competitions or anything, but it's really good for just getting friends together and playing.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's a
my
great
friends don't
free
want to
for
play that
all
anymore.
kind of experience.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
All right.
23.
Man, I cannot keep this down to a minute. This next one.
Oh god, here we go. All right.
Ah.
No,
Well,
go ahead.
I feel like I have to give this one a little bit more information because it is it is a game that I doubt practically anybody listening to this has played.
Okay.
And that is technically it's the remake of Quest for Glory, So You Want to Be a Hero. Originally titled Hero's Quest, but they had to change it due to some copyright difficulties, so they changed it to Quest for Glory. And technically, I like the VGA remake more than the first one. The first one was a sort of a text and parser kind of game where you would type in what action you wanted your avatar to do, because it was
I like stuff like that, man.
because it was a computer game, and they changed that up for the remake, where you had a bunch of different action buttons, and it was a point and click that they turned it into. And this is one of my favorite PC games of all time. Clearly, it's in my top 25. It has I believe it's a 16-bit look nowadays. And it sort of takes place in a fictional world that's sort of based off of, I guess, medieval Germany, I guess you could say, if anything. And it has all sorts of magical creatures. It was like a fantasy. Yeah, it was a fantasy game just back in the 90s.
So games like this fit right in with like Secret of Monkey Island, Grim Fandango, 90s point and click games, right?
Yes, but what Quest for Glory did differently is there were a lot of ways to die in the game, and when you died, it would sort of, if you ever played Space Quest or even King's Quest, it would sort of make fun of the way that you died. Like, well, that was a stupid thing to do, because a lot of the times you're just going to do something just to see what happens, and you'll die.
Because it's a point and click game and you have to click everything.
Yeah, and so you're just like experimenting, trying to figure out what the answer is. And this game has a lot of little cool hidden features to it. And one of the great things I like about it is it was one of the first games where you could choose what it wasn't really like Ultima, but you could choose your class, and you could choose either to be a fighter, you could choose to be a magic user, or you could choose to be a thief. Each of them had different ways of solving different puzzles. Like, for example, with a lock or with a locked door, the fighter is just such a hulking beast that, like, in some cases he could just break down the door, and in other cases the door's too strong and you'd have to find a key somehow. The magic user has a magic spell that they could use to open up something that's locked. And the thief has a lockpick, and if your lockpicking skill is high enough, you can pick the lock using your lockpick.
It sounds like it has a little bit of an RPG element to it when you describe that.
It does. It has a bunch of stats that you can raise as you play the game. Like, you can increase your vitality, you can increase your strength, you can increase your intelligence. There's like a climbing ability, there's a throwing ability, and like your characters, depending on which one you pick, you can add some points to different skills, but each one has like some things that they can't do and some things that they can do. And I just really like that part of the game. Like, I've played through the game dozens of times, and I will tell you this. It took me like 15 years to find some of the secrets in the game. Like, I found new secrets on one of my playthroughs in, like, I don't know, probably like 2008, and the game came out in 1993. And I found like a sort of hidden secret part of the game, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could do this. So that's sort of the depth that the game has.
And I'm gonna have you wrap too.
Yep, I'm gonna wrap it up there. So just great fantasy game, great point and click game.
Can you buy it on Steam?
You can buy it on. You might be able to buy it on Steam. I can't remember. I would suggest getting it off of Good Old Games, though, because if you get it from Good Old Games, you can buy the entire anthology of this series.
Just don't buy it from JJ Games.
Yes, don't buy it from JJ Games. Well, yeah.
Unless you're Piddle.
Hey, I had a good experience.
If you're me, don't buy it off JJ Games.
And I think they have it on sale for like $2.50 plenty of times. Otherwise, it's like the whole series for $5 or $10. Can't remember.
Nice.
But yep.
So my number 23 is one that we've already talked about, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over a little bit. But it's The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD on Wii U, and this supplanted the GameCube version, of course, because it's
Of
just
course.
better.
It's significantly
And
better.
And for what it's worth, I loved the GameCube version. I thought it was great. I know you hated it, but I loved it. But anyway, this is a great game. It's Zelda at its best. It's got a great story, great characters, great art style, great everything really. And there's nothing about this game. It feels very balanced. The Triforce Fetch quest isn't nearly as bad with the Swift Sail and all that stuff. So you just got all those elements that combine to make one fantastic Zelda experience. So definitely play that one.
Speaking of Wind Waker, this is a little bit of a tangent, but when I was playing The Witcher 3, I hopped in a boat and started sailing on the boat, and immediately I start spinning the camera around like I'm playing The Wind Waker and doing like the little tune going dun 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 in my head. So that is how.
Because there's nothing else to do when you sail that boat, so you just spin the camera around and you try to get like a cool angle.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, Wind Waker, HD,
So
great
good.
game.
So number 22 for you.
Number 22 for me is the PlayStation 2 title Eco, which
Ooh, very nice. That'll make my list one day, I'm sure.
Which for me it gave me my Zelda fix between like Eco and its sister game Shadow of the Colossus. That sort of gave me my Zelda fix for that generation, because Eco sort of gave me my that dungeon crawling aspect of the Zelda series.
Because you hated Wind Waker, so basically
Yes,
you
I
didn't
hated
get
it.
a real Zelda from between like 2000 and 2006 when Twilight Princess came out.
Yep. And Eco just had it had such atmosphere to it, and I can't really describe what it was like to play that game for the first time and just solving those puzzles, which going back, like the puzzles are so simple. I can't believe I had problems with them. But they're challenging enough where it gets you engaged, and if you haven't played it yet, you need to go play it. Go play it now. Go get the collection on PlayStation 3 and enjoy it.
Sounds good. For me, number 22, and I already mentioned this earlier in the show, it's Mario Party on Nintendo 64. The very first Mario Party, I spent most of my childhood playing it alone in my room. And at the very end of
That's so sad.
It is sad, but at the very end of every map, I would like plug in all the controllers that I had for friends that didn't exist, and I would get all the coins and the stars that you couldn't earn if it was just the computers playing. You could do that. It was a great cheat. But Mario Party is great, man. It's got it only has like 50 mini games, but they're all very unique. Unlike the most recent Mario Parties, where all the mini games just kind of feel like it doesn't feel like copy and pasted from other Mario Parties, but they feel very similar to each other, like within the game.
Mario Party ruining Nintendo 64 joysticks since 1997.
And
I think.
And one thing I will say, the original Mario Party had these mini games where you had to spin around the control stick really, really fast. If you guys don't know about this, go look up the history. Nintendo actually sent gloves out to people that were not only ruining their joysticks, but they were ruining their hands.
Yeah, because people would just put their palm down on it.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what you have to do, really. That's the only way you can do it fast enough. So anyway, that game is hell on your hand, but it's amazing. I love Mario Party, and I still try to play it with my friends. They're like, "No, you always win," and I'm like, "That's because I'm good at the games. Get good, scrubs."
So you didn't buy into the Xbox's Fusion Frenzy?
Funny joke.
All right.
What's your number 21?
My number 21, and I mean, how can I not have this on the list? The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh man, that's lower than I thought it was going to be. That's a great game, though. Obviously,
it is the highest any 3D Legend of Zelda game is going to be on my list.
I keep forgetting that you put Majora's Mask lower, which disappoints me.
Yes. Some of the games I have higher, you'll probably be disgusted at me for having them higher.
Oh, no question.
But it's just, for me, it's sort of lost some of its luster over the years. I still love it. I still can't talk highly enough about it. And just the music that it has, the adventure that you feel you're going on. And I don't know about you, but like collecting all the upgrades and just feeling like you were some sort of amazing badass just because you had this like ugly ass mirror shield and Bigoron sword. And they're like completely useless. Bigoron sword was I mean, did you ever use a big Goron sword?
I only use the big Goron
Really?
sword. Like that's the first thing I do when I
Really?
become an adult. Yeah, I'm serious.
Come
Why
on.
wouldn't I?
Because
Why?
you can't even use your shield, which is like
I don't need to use the shield.
I
I
mean-
get all the heart pieces.
The-
I just kill everything.
the shield, the ultimate weapon, the shield, which makes you completely invulnerable against everything.
The shield is the worst. I never use it ever. I wish I didn't have to get one. I am anti-shield and I'm anti-boomerang in Zelda.
You
I
know,
don't want to see those ever.
One of the weird things I loved about Skyward Sword is that it actually added a function to the shield. Like, well, one, it could break, and then
Yeah, which was good.
yeah, and there were enemies that could take advantage. Like if you had the metal shield, you could just get electrocuted to death. So don't always use metal shield. But then you could shield bash enemies. I was about to say skull bash, which sounds so much more satisfying.
The only games the shield was useful in my opinion, was the original game, The Legend of Zelda, where you could block, Octoroks and whatever, because it was automatic. Or in the newer games, where in Twilight Princess you can like use the nunchuck to like hit him with the shield, which I always really liked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah,
And
I
then
don't know.
Skyward Sword.
What can you really say about Ocarina of Time?
we've talked more about other Zelda games already than we have about Ocarina of Time. So
I know that's weird in a way.
I know, but it Ocarina of Time is so good, dude.
Even the
like,
fast travel, like all the songs that you play before you go into the temples. Oh my goodness, just amazing.
Yep. All right, here comes the gardener again. So I gotta finish up. Before he comes back. My number 21 is you're gonna love this. It's Banjo-Kazooie on Nintendo 64. Now Banjo-Tooie used to occupy this spot, and then I decided I hated it and I moved it off the list. Banjo-Kazooie is a fantastic masterpiece of platforming, and I don't care what you say. I love the worlds. I love the characters. I think it's very funny. It's very bright and colorful. It's what a 90s collectathon should be. I think they got it exactly right.
All right.
And I think it's amazing. And I'm surprised you don't have anything to say in rebuttal to that, but you don't like the controls.
Just the
I
controls.
I think the controls are very tight. I feel like they're not intuitive, but they're not hard to learn. So, I'm cool with it.
It's
either
just the
way.
controls and like sometimes having to be really precise and not being. It might just be an effect of having to use an Xbox 360 or Xbox controller instead of.
I think that's what it is, because I
instead
think
of
the Nintendo 64
controller.
I
Because
think it was mapped really well to the 64 controller.
You know what's weird? Like those games, and I'm thinking of like replaying The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time on the Wii Virtual Console or Super Mario 64. For whatever reason, the games are so much easier to control with the Nintendo 64 controller, like joystick, and that joystick is like atrocious in so many ways. But for whatever reason, it just worked with those games, and it might just be like a sensitivity thing. But
Nintendo
I feel like
is just so good at taking advantage of the hardware that it has to make its games, and that includes the controllers. They're fantastic at it.
yeah.
So much so that honestly, for me, if Twilight Princess HD comes out, it's not going to feel the same to me without the Wii remote if you don't use it. So, if that's a thing that happens, I don't know. I don't think I want to use the gamepad. I think I'd rather use the Wii remote.
Oh, what a great episode.
Oh man, that went longer than I thought, but not too long, not crazy long. So,
Yeah. So I think
man.
we got to wrap it up there. And
So yeah, if you got questions for the doctors, man, I'm gonna go
give us your
have a drink at the
questions.
hospital bar.
Tell us how you did on the quiz. I really hope some of you took the quiz with Spiegel, and I want to know if you did better than his 61% score.
Jeez, it sounds
Sorry,
so
Spiegel.
bad when you say it that way. 8 of 13 doesn't sound terrible, but
it
when you
is
put
so
like
hard.
61,
Like
that was hard, man.
I mean, I could feel your pain as you're trying to guess some of these.
It hurt me physically.
because like you're like, oh man, it could be, but it is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So
But
good
thanks
job.
for-
I'm proud
thanks
of
for
you
listening,
for even getting 8.
everybody, to this stuff that we do. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, man, you can share this with your friends if you like it. Definitely report us to Game Trailers for stealing their content.
Yeah.
Because it'll get us more views, because they'll have to come watch us. But thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Spiegel. He's Piddle. We're the doctors, and we're out.